Okay. Why not now?
Say what?
No, this is a wonderful photograph.
Isn't that wonderful
They great.
picture of me?
Yeah, it really is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're on. Good evening. Welcome to the Hanover Selectboard meeting of July 12, 2021. Midtown Hanover. We're here tonight to have some fun and do good work for the town. As always, the first order of business is public comment. Hearing none, I'd like to introduce Wendy Piper. Our county commissioner is going to give us an update.
Thank you.
Come on up, Wendy. Introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Reggie Piper, County Commissioner. I can't do any better than that. Let's see if I can flesh it out just a little bit. So I was just elected the past year to my third term. Let's see, just a general couple of comments before we get started by way of introduction and context. Some changes, some positive changes, I think, at the county lately. We finally got approval from the delegation during the last budget season to hire a finance director. So Julie Libby has been the county administrator / finance director for a very long time. Part of the deal was that if she could spend more time on the budget and working with the department heads, she could help them to save money. And she's done that. And other good news, so I'm happy for Julie because that's a good thing for her. The other good news is that we've hired a new county administrator that we think is a very capable human being, and that's Andrew Dorset. His last place was up at Littleton, so he's been with us since, gosh, I think since January. He's changing the focus of county administration a little bit. And so Andrew comes to us with a very strong interest in economic development, and what he's working for, I think, or what his focus is, I guess, right now, is resiliency. We're hoping to use some of the ARPA funds, and I can talk just a second about that later on if you'd like. For infrastructure spending. Well, I'll just say it now. So perhaps solar. We are tied to Woodsville Water and Light, and over, I think, Jim Oaks is our maintenance superintendent. Over the past 10 to 14 years, it's just unbelievable how much the rates have gone up. So one thing that we want to do, perhaps, is have our own wells and sewer system. So those are things that Andrew is bringing to us by way of ARPA and grant money. He's good at going out there and getting grant money. So what we're finding is that some of the department heads, like maintenance, for instance, and also the nursing home, have these ideas that might be a little bit of an investment up top, but would increase revenue, for instance, even an assisted living facility, maybe at some point, because, you know, our elderly population is just so big and growing. And that would be something that would probably get us out of just simply taking Medicaid as revenue, which is a very low amount of money, maybe put us into private pay and Medicare. So he's tapping into ideas that existing department heads have had for a long time. So regarding the budget specifically, just briefly, it was our desire to level fund it if that was at all possible. It has been a challenging year, to say the least, in terms of just the hardship for our essential workers, and our loss of revenue due to COVID, and given sort of what we felt was an uncertain economy, all the help wanted signs out there, what's happening with business, we wanted to be as considerate as we possibly could be of the taxpayers. So we proposed a nearly level funded budget, and it was unanimous, which is a first. It's a first, it was a bipartisan budget. It's a first given the political makeup, the ideological differences. So it was a first given that. So we handed it to the executive committee. They made 2 changes and it was a 25-to-1 vote. So all of us are really happy about that and felt that we reached compromises. But just a couple of highlights, and you probably know all this by now. That's why I brought other little teeny tiny quick updates for you. So we lost $1.2 million for revenue for the nursing home because of COVID. You know, we couldn't accept anybody. Had to keep beds available for quarantine. So we lost a tremendous amount of revenue. Even, this sounds kind of silly, but even the farm threw milk revenue because restaurants and schools were closed. So it was just everywhere you looked, things were coming at us. Interest, you probably know this, interest rates, we lost interest revenue. So it wasn't, they didn't make it easy for us. And then, of course, you probably also know that we had and you must have experienced it too, a $500,000, for us, $500,000 downshift from the state. You have your, I did ask that, I think, did I hope, send you the tax breakdown sheet. I didn't.
Yeah.
I will send it to you.
Thank you, Wendy.
I'm sorry. It's been quite a day. I just got back from the National Association of Counties meeting this morning at 10, and then got on a 3-hour Zoom. Kidding me? and so I apologize if I'm a little rattle-headed, and I will send that.
Thank
I got
you.
it right before I left, and I'll send you that, which will show you the percentage of increase or decrease, which of course is figured by the Department of Revenue.
Right.
We know that the county is not at fault. I don't have my computer, otherwise I could pull it.
That's
up.
okay. I mean,
Fine.
we'll get it. Yeah.
You'll get it.
Not to
Thank
worry.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. The other couple of things that I will just let you know, I thought I would bring all good news, except for one bad news. So the good news is that the nursing home the census of the nursing home is already on the rise. It was very low throughout the course of the year. We budgeted for 2022 for 114 people, and we're at 113.
Great.
Yeah, so I don't think that there's going to be any surprises. And just to appeal to all of us, in a human story, is that we've opened up for visits, and it's just
Wonderful.
it's just lovely.
Yeah.
To see the folks coming in, to see their residents there. And we have open visitation where they can just come in, and then we have appointments, and, if everyone's vaccinated, they can just be with their loved one without their masks. It's just fantastic. 77% of staff at the nursing home is vaccinated, and I think it's in the high 90s. For residents.
Good.
Yeah, I mentioned that the maintenance department is working with Andrew Dorset and ARPA funding. That's still, a moving target. Nobody knows for sure exactly, how the money is going to be spent. But we got $17 million over 2 years, and 8 million is safely walled up in our little safe.
So that the first tranche has already come through.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We've already got it, and we have good plans for it. We have, that primarily involves this idea of resiliency. That's what broadband, and just trying to make the campus as resilient as we can to cut down on taxpayer funding over the long haul. And then I heard on some radio somewhere between here and Baltimore, somebody mentioned shoring up social services. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow at the meeting. I thought that was a good idea. You know, we give, Grafton County, I think, gives the highest amount of social service grants. About 400,000, is it? It's in the budget. Oh, I have it right here. And we give a lot, and that might be a nice idea to see if that's possible.
Right.
I had heard it mentioned. Alternative sentencing is very strong. Our new alternative sentencing director, well, she's been there for, I guess, 2 to 3 years now, maybe new since I last saw you. She is wanting to get back involved, Grafton County back involved with drug court. We were the first, and then because of increased regulations and some problems with staffing in our own department, we decided to take a break. I think we really didn't have the staff at the time, with some difficulties to meet the new regulations, but I think we can do it at this point, at least that's what Renee thinks. Something else that she, and I'm almost done, something else that she would like to see some of the, what we've heard for the ARPA funding, transitional housing, desperately needed in Grafton County, and working with a head up at the northern part of Grafton County for affordable housing. So those sort of, you know, even economic development issues, you know, allowing people to live in houses where they work. The executive committee voted to have our decisions, the Board of Commissioners' decisions regarding ARPA funding, or I'm sorry, ARPA appropriations, needed, requiring approval of the majority of the executive committee. The executive committee is just 9 people that's chosen from our state representatives, and that was new.
Is that going to provide? Is that going to be challenging, Wendy?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
They're going to be questioning, second guessing your expenditure allocation decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's. I think it can be quite problematic.
Yeah.
Because we do, especially now with the finance director, we do the deep dive.
Right.
All the time.
Right.
And yeah, I think that they are, and we will, of course, I was asked this at Lebanon, I got to go to Lebanon before I flew down, we will, of course, remember all of our municipalities and, you know, any way that, I mean, I know everyone got funding, but the delegates, I think, will all be arguing for particular projects in particular towns.
Coming from the county funds, coming from the
Yeah.
county's ARPA money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the way it's being, I haven't seen my colleagues in a week, but that was the way that it was received up there.
Because they can't use it for tax relief, right? Interesting.
They can't. And there are so many needs in the county.
Right.
And we hear from so many people in hearings in the social service agencies and transitional housing and all these big things that can be done regionally, that it's kind of a shame to not be able to do that. So Julie Libby recommended that we come up with a plan for, you know, what our proposal by the next executive committee meeting, which is in September.
Okay.
And be prepared to make some pretty strong arguments.
So this is the 17 million that Grafton County is
Yeah.
receiving through ARPA.
Yeah, it's 8 million and then another 8 million next year, and I believe we have till 2024
To spend it.
Yeah, or to appropriate it, is
Right.
that right?
Mhm.
And something like that, because I said 2024 the other night and I wasn't to spend it, I'm not sure if I was completely correct. Broadband Committee doing good. Andrew, we were approached in the fall by some town managers and town administrators that wanted to sort of be with under our auspices in terms of bonding authority. So we said, sure, it didn't cost anything at that time. We've since given them a very small amount of seed money. They're working very hard. Andrew Dorset was on it, on the committee, and now so we have, the Board of Commissioners is working very closely with them. They want to lay a spine, okay, you know all this, and have towns connect. Okay.
Correct.
That's
A backbone.
Yep, yep, backbone, yeah, that sounds better than spine. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. I'm really happy to report that we have started an LPN program.
Oh, great.
Yep. We have the LNA program.
Right.
That's going very well. And we teamed up again. This is our new county administrator.
Right.
He teamed up with River Valley Community
Awesome,
College
yeah.
and White Mountain Regional
Right,
up there.
right.
And has got it going. We have a lot of interest. 2 people have, have suggested that they're going to sign on. It's a 12-month certification program, begins in January. We're asking for a 2-year commitment, and we're paying I believe, pretty much the cost of the program, which is about $13,000 for the 2-year commitment. And maybe I've mentioned this before, but a few of our longest serving nurses have been, sort of homegrown, started off as LNAs, LPNs, and so it's a promising way to get them. So we still share the contract nursing program and the problem. We still share the nursing shortage with the entire state.
Right.
That hasn't gone away, but this is a new idea that has already gotten going.
Great.
And so we're hopeful, and it's something, LPNs, it's not just LNAs. Okay, so some bad news. It's the only bad news, unless answers to questions bring out bad news. The courthouse. It's 50 years old.
It's pretty tired.
It's pretty tired. And so we commissioned an engineering and architectural study. Are you ready? It will cost more to renovate it
Than to tear it down.
It would cost $17 million just to bring it up to code in order to be able to repurpose it. So, despite what some, folks on the delegation and on the Board of Commissioners think, or what they would wish, I don't see how we can. The majority of the board and the county administrator and finance director don't see how we can possibly, use it, for $17 million. 17 million, just the cost of I think it's 34 million. The cost of the new building includes the demolition.
And that's
So-
34 million?
Yeah, I think that's 34. I'm sorry that I didn't check that. I'm pretty sure it's 34 million, and I think that and I'll confirm all this tomorrow, the things that I didn't bring with me, and I'm sorry. The cost of remodeling.
Yeah, right.
Renovating.
Right, renovating, right.
The cost of renovation, I think, was 35. It wasn't a big difference, and the cost of the new building plus demolition was about 33, 34. A couple of options. The state has built a courthouse in Merrimack County. So would the state like to do it this time?
That's called upshifting, I think,
That's right.
Wendy? Yeah.
It's about time.
It's a nice ring to it.
Isn't that
Upshifting,
nice?
yeah.
The state, they have done it in Merrimack. Andrew's talking with them. And if that were to be the case, then we would,
Wendy, you really need to, we're time limited here, so.
okay, we
Keep
would,
it up.
if that, thank you. If that were the case, we would rent from them. We would rent from them, and so our options are, if the state builds it, then we will lease from them or build a separate, very small building just for administration, or we'll rebuild it and continue to lease to the state.
Big project. Either way, a big project.
It's a big project, so they'll be coming at you.
Great, well, thank you. Thank
That's
you.
exciting.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, it is kind of neat, actually, just, reading through the report and figuring out, so,
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for all your work on the county budget and, yeah.
Oh, boy.
And during COVID, and it's a thankless task.
Yeah, it was interesting at the county during COVID.
Oh, well,
Between the DOC, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, nursing home piece and, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
Who should not get the subsidized?
Thank you.
Last word, thank you.
Thank
Travel
you.
safely.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is, I move to accept the abatement recommended by the Accessory Board of Assessors at their meeting of June 17, 2021, which was given to us in the board package.
And I'll second that. I was at the meeting and we had it was a pretty long session. It
Yep.
was a good discussion. Norm's done a great job with his team. Adrian was there, and I think the most important bit in here concerns our requests for exemptions from our nonprofit groups around town, our churches, our religious facilities, some of the other nonprofits, and the statute's not
Clear.
super clear, but it does have guidelines that we need to follow, and so we're, and it's in Norm's, I think Sue took the notes. We have agreed to look at them holistically in terms of the exemptions. I think they've just been a pass-through over the years, and some things probably should be exempt and some probably shouldn't be, and so.
What were the abatement requests? That they be, some came saying they wished for an abatement?
Yes, and I mean, most of them had received abatements in the
So,
past, and some of
that's
them
all.
are like a question, like they rent space in their facility for non-religious purposes to unaffiliated organizations, for
Right.
example. And,
Right.
it's kind of a gray area, and actually it's not gray. I mean, it's pretty clear that's a taxable property.
Yep.
But given where we are in the reevaluation process, and the consensus of the advisory board was we need to look at it holistically for all of our nonprofits who are requesting not to have to pay taxes, and that
Good.
includes our conservation organizations, Hanover Improvement Society and their nonprofit entities, all of the religious entities out there. And so the idea is that next year, when they submit their exemption requests, we will have had policies and clarity in terms of what is exempt and what is not. We haven't done that as a town in quite some time, and so that's the work that we plan on doing this year.
Just in reading the report, it seemed that the tenor of the meeting was different in the sense that I'm not exact about this, but there are a certain number of cases that kind of come up historically and were dealt with historically.
Yep.
And then about another group of cases came up where the abatements were denied because there really wasn't sound rationale for it.
Right.
And then the ones that were abated, they were all, pretty much all because of some inaccuracy in the record of the house or the condition of the house, but there was something very concrete about the record card that drove the abatement request.
Right.
But
No, it was a very good, I think it was like a 2-hour meeting.
And you have a new chair?
We have a new chair, Mr.
Matt.
Matt Gardner, and he has the time and interest, as did our former chair. And
Yeah,
in
Joe's
fact, our
great.
former chair is the vice chair.
I saw that.
So we have a very skilled group, and this assessing staff I think they are done, the revals, going into all the houses and properties they could get into.
They're just doing quality control checks on their data.
And so I think we're looking at, I think it's gonna be sent out. Norm had a informational session on Thursday. We had over 40 people show up last week to learn about the process and where we are, and they'll be, I think that they're gonna go out at the end of the month.
Yep.
Which
The-
is
the notification
a
letters.
notification that the reval is complete.
Gives people plenty of time to have
To
an
review
informal
their
review.
files,
Correct.
to have an informal review with the staff, and so
Great.
hopefully
Great.
it's been a really good, transparent process, and if there's questions out there, the staff is available to talk.
Right.
Thank you. Well, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the abatement recommendations by the advisory board on their June 17th, 2021. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
We accept the recommendations. The third item is relative to Tunis Brook, and I'm going to change this a little bit, Julia.
Sure.
Because I'm going to move that we allocate up to $10,000 from the Percent Fund for
Okay.
the Tunis Brook Restoration Project.
Okay.
I'll second that if you need it.
Yeah, we need a second. Let me tell you a little bit about this project. It's a very interesting one. It's created a lot of excitement and interest, and a lot of individuals have gotten involved in this. The Conservation Commission adopted a stewardship plan for the 600-acre town forest on the east side of Moose Mountain, and we plan to restore a section of Tunis Brook as it crosses the Class 6 highway and runs for 2 miles through the forest. That culvert has gotten blocked over the years and has diverted what used to be a very natural stream that wild eastern brook would thrive in. So we need to go a couple of hundred feet up it, clean it out, clean out the culvert, help downstream, and then hopefully that will allow the brook to regain its normal place in the world, and we will once again have brook trout up in that part of the world, which some are finding very cool.
Right.
It needed a bunch of permits, which we've gotten, so this project is ready to go, and I think it meets the percent funding
Criteria?
criteria very well. And the reason I'm bringing it tonight, I mean, tomorrow night with hopefully the passing of the budget, we'll get permission to spend additional percent money.
Right.
And I'm suggesting that we spend up to $10,000 of that for this program. Any questions?
It's beautiful land.
It is.
I'll get over there a lot.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there, yeah. And this is very typical of the work that the Conservation Commission does. I mean, this is
Yeah.
just one of
Yeah.
a dozen projects every year that they grab a hold of and make happen, and it just improves everything, one little step at a time.
Yeah.
So it's been seconded, it's been moved. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have appropriated up to $10,000. Town meeting update. What's the weather gonna be?
Well, it's supposed to rain right up through about 11 a.m., but then it's going to be cloudy and no rain after that. So let's just hope that forecast stays. High of 64 tomorrow night, which will make it pleasant. Modifications for this year, we do have lighting for the stage now, so that as the sun goes down, we won't disappear from the view of the audience. Ross Farnsworth and Ed of our staff developed that lighting. Sound system is good, tents are up. Ballot clerks, your next action is to appoint them. All the volunteers have been trained, signage is done, we're good to go, starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. The voting machine will be in a trailer that is actually clear, on I think the top half. I haven't actually seen the trailer, but it's a type of performance space and has a window for vending or distribution, and we needed to get the voting machines in under cover of weather. And so anybody who votes will take their ballot to a person who will be in that trailer, but you can see them put your ballot into the machine so that you don't have to worry that it's disappearing into a black hole. That's just intended to protect the ballot counting machines because they're a little bit susceptible to rain, sap, and humidity. So that's the only modification for tomorrow.
Good.
That's
Well, I
it.
know a lot of hard work goes into getting ready, and
And
Here we
probably
go.
even more so in a parking lot.
Yes.
But people can walk in, they can bike in, and they
Right.
can drive in for the business meeting,
We
right?
have-
Or even for
we
the
have
ballot.
music ahead of the 7 o'clock. Heavy
No,
music?
well, possibly.
Possibly.
The sound system comes with talented musicians who had assortment of things playing last year. I have not micromanaged the musical selection. We've changed the layout of the parking lot so that cars can park right next to each other, so that there isn't a parking space between each car. They'll park in the rear of the two face-to-face rows of parking, so that you can then sit out in front of your car in the parking space right in front of yours with your lawn chair and your beach umbrella.
Yep.
So that's the layout for tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Department head team is ready as runners, and we're also ready for the ballot vote, which is a paper vote. So everybody will be receiving a ballot when they check in at the drive-through gate, along with their paddle. And then we have a system for collecting those ballots once people have voted and doing the count.
Excellent.
And the ballot vote is for the bond.
Bridge bond,
vote, Bridge
correct.
bond vote, which is
First,
Article.
first item on the warrant after
Right.
the appointment of the surveyors of wood and timber and the fence viewers.
Excellent.
Great.
Well,
Yep, and that's it for your update.
Looking forward to it. We received a listing of, I didn't count them, 30, 35 at least,
Ballot clerks.
ballot
Yep.
clerks.
Yep.
And I move that we appoint these as ballot, this wonderful list of people as ballot clerks.
Nancy Carter, second.
Looks good. Good,
Here we
good
go.
number.
You gotta vote, though.
We
You
gotta vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank all these wonderful people for serving.
There's a few new names.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, I have to say, I mean, I did a walkthrough on last Thursday with our moderator and Betsy and several of our volunteers. We are just so fortunate with the wonderful people we have who assist us in our elections, in addition to our supervisors. I don't know what we'd do without these folks. And they truly seem to enjoy being a part of this process, but they're just great to work with. So
I think
we're very lucky.
we are. Okay, we have, next on the is the approval of the minutes of June 21. I move they be approved as presented.
Second.
Any additions, corrections, deletions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They are adopted. Administrative report.
So it's been, we're busy into project implementation at this point, even though the budget's not been formally adopted. We're cleaning up some of the construction work from this past fiscal year and getting prepared to implement a number of projects. The Public Works Department did replace the bridge on Reservoir Road right at the entrance to Storrs Pond, utilizing funds we had from last year's budget. And then we'll move forward into doing probably at least one, if not two, of the bridges if the bridge bond is approved. If you also recall, we have on our docket for this summer replacing the apron around the large roundabout on Reservoir Road, which is just
It means it.
tired. And it has been problematic, quite frankly, from day one, given the weight, primarily of the heavy trucks, logging trucks, and some of the delivery trucks that deliver to places like Sheridan Printing, which are just extra long trucks. That kind of took its toll on that subsurface of the apron. It's a totally different apron treatment that we're using for this next piece that's based on the state DOT spec. And so I know the staff has got that plan of attack for that replacement developed in addition to the bridge work that they want to do and their regular maintenance. In addition, we're about to begin construction of, once the budget is solidified, we're about to approve the construction of the wash bay at the Public Works Department. That foundation has already been poured. And then from there, our staff is doing much of the work to construct that wash bay. So that was a recommendation that came from the Joint Loss Management Committee, which is a labor.
Wasn't that approved in
That
last
was
year's
in
budget?
this year's, last year's budget, Peter, but there was a little bit that was also approved for this coming fiscal year to add to some of the water treatment amenities in that building. So we're waiting for that budget to be approved, retroactive to July 1. So as always, this time of year, it's a busy time of year for the Public Works Department. The only other thing I would report is that we're hearing some interest among our downtown businesses to do some sort of a fall celebration that would involve potentially closing Main Street. Once the students return for the fall term, we're sort of back to full population levels. Not really a street fest, but something. And so I just wanted you to know that we're beginning to talk with the Upper Valley Business Alliance about what we might do for something in late September, early October. So stand by and stay tuned for some ideas as to how we might help the community celebrate what's going on. The one last thing I would point out is that Sustainable Hanover will be at the Farmers Market, which is now up at the Richmond Middle School, a week from Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, displaying all sorts of electric vehicles and electric bikes as part of the market activity that's going on from 4 to 7 at RMS. So if you're at all interested in EVs or e-bikes, it's a good time to go talk with people who own these vehicles and bikes. And if, you know, Yolanda's looking
Go
for more volunteers to come and, you know, think of it as an EV bike and car show in the Oval at RMS as part of the farmers market that's going on.
I think they get people pretty quickly to show off their cars, because I got an email and by the time I get back to it later in the day, they said, oh, we're set.
We're
I'm like,
set.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think they have.
Do they have, is she all set?
I mean, it sounded like they were surprised at how many people were willing to,
Right.
you know, come out on
Right.
a Wednesday afternoon and do
Right.
it. So.
I was, speaking of people interested in these topics, so Yolanda Baumgartner and April Salas and I did 2 webinars on the Hanover Community Power Electric Aggregation Plan proposal in June. The first meeting we had about 18 folks who attended, all Hanover citizens. The second meeting, we had about 50 folks who attended, and about half of them were from other communities in New Hampshire
Nice.
who were curious about Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. What is this municipal aggregation? What's an electric aggregation plan? What's this all about? Which was really great because we had questions from residents as part of the webinar, which we were able to answer, but then to see 8 different communities in 2 cities chime in with, I'm here from Derry, I'm here from Dover, I'm here from Portsmouth. So this is building some fairly significant degree of interest around the state as communities hear the media reports on NPR, NHPR, or read about it in the New Hampshire Bulletin or wherever they're hearing about it. We're getting lots of inquiries. So many such that we have a summer intern working with us this summer, Abby Weissman, who is a Dartmouth Rising junior, I believe, who's funded by the Irving Institute, with a little bit of extra money thrown in from the Rever Center at Tuck. So we're not paying for Abby's salary. And she is writing a whole series of project one-pagers for us to describe the various things we have done, whether it's Solarize Hanover, or ground-mounted solar at Grassroad, water filtration plant, community power, because we get so many inquiries from other communities about the projects we've implemented, and none of us have taken the time to sort of depict these in a descriptive way, so Abby is doing some of those for us this summer.
That's
So
a great story.
We have something to share with
That's going to be a very thick book.
other communities.
That's
So
really good. I think just in terms of the September Fall Fest, I think it was interesting it must have been a week or so ago, there was a piece in the paper that had a picture of Main Street, I think it was puppeteering, in the 80s.
Yes.
Right.
When we did Street Fest around
Right.
the 4th of July. And the entire street
Was
was
packed.
full of people. And I just want to say that I very much appreciate that our surrounding communities go gangbusters on 4th of July. If Hanover chooses not to do it, that's fine, but we certainly we should not have had anything kind of in the newspaper on the 4th,
Right,
because Lebanon and the other towns did a great job, but if we
Right.
can supplement in terms of Upper Valley, supporting local communities by doing something in the fall and doing the winter thing, I think that's great, but I just, it was amazing that
What was the
mid-April, I think it was like in 84 maybe,
Yeah.
early 80s.
Oh, yeah.
The
kept looking
street
for
was, there were no cars and it was jam-packed,
Yeah.
jam-packed, so.
I couldn't find myself in the picture.
Couldn't,
We tried.
I don't think I was around at that point, but.
Nancy.
Yeah, I'll get to questions. One, how did we end up with the farmer's market at RMS? Because I've been there 2-3 weeks now and have been so disappointed
Yeah.
at the.
Low turnout.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about whether we should try and host it downtown.
Uh-huh.
And interestingly enough, the vendors don't want to be downtown because it's logistically challenging for them to set up
And
when
we've
they
been
can't.
Uninvited from the green, is
No.
that correct?
But they
That's
weren't
not
uninvited,
correct.
not at all.
It was the Upper Valley
Right.
Business Association who gave it up.
UVBA just, it was,
Chamber
it
of
was,
Commerce.
we weren't making, the UVBA was making no money from it. And it was a lot of work. And we had to hire a staff person to run it. So we, meaning the UVBA, because I sit on their board. And so they said, look, this is not, we need to be focused on events that both promote the region but also generate some income for the UVBA because they can't live solely on member dues. It's not enough money. So when the rec department and the library came to me and they said, what if we thought about creating a farmer's market? Would you, Julia, could we try it? And I said, guys, knock yourselves out. I mean, we don't have funds budgeted for it, but if you can figure out how to do it, please. And when they first ran this idea by me, I spent a lot of time talking with them about how a downtown layout might work, but ultimately the vendor said, no, we don't want to be on asphalt. We don't want to be downtown where it's hot. And we want to be somewhere with green grass where we can set up easily, where our vehicles are right there with our setup.
Yeah.
And the RMS field was the choice that the rec department made for this summer. They're partnering with the Howe Library for a number of performers. And I think it's been slow and it remains to be seen if that location's gonna take hold, Nancy. I'm not sure it will, but I chose not to micromanage them because they were sort of getting their balance and trying to figure out what might be feasible. And the good news is there's enough space there that they can do additional performances in conjunction with the market, and that's what they're beginning to test the waters on
The
now.
liveliest tents are the rec department and the Howe
I
Library.
know,
They're
yeah.
the first ones that I see. They're where I spend all my time chatting with people. I mean, they're really animated, giving away books, having
Right.
games for children
Right.
and so forth.
Right.
But the rest of it
Is a little
not.
quiet.
What is
It's
the
very-
time again?
Well,
4 to
there's no-
7
Market
every,
just now?
4 to
There's no-
7 p.m.
there are
every
no
Wednesday night.
vegetables.
4 to
Are
7
our
and
farmers.
Wednesdays.
Playing field, correct.
They're not
I-
farmers.
I'd be interested in how they do market it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it happens to be on the way home for me, of course, and I love stopping in on it. I was surprised to see it there, but the selection of, I'm selling this to people. The selection of stuff there is just amazing, and it's
Yeah.
really worth the trip.
yeah. The one interesting challenge this summer was it was virtually impossible to find farmers because there is so much demand for CSAs and their product that they're struggling to meet the demand of
Yeah.
previously secured
Vegetables.
clients,
Yes.
right? So they need a season to plan.
Yeah.
And presumably they might have the room to increase their plantings to accommodate a Wednesday market in Hanover, but that was a bit of a logistical challenge, trying to find farmers to sell produce.
But there's there's
There's-
popcorn there and there's
Yeah,
really
good food.
good
There's great food.
for supper.
Good
My
prepared
Wednesday
food.
dinner is at the
Right, at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
think I know where I'm going before my
You gotta go there.
conservation meeting.
There you
There
go.
There you go. It's open till 7 too, so that's
Yeah,
handy.
perfect timing. Okay, I think, select
it.
board report.
Yep.
Atlas, anything? I have nothing.
Nothing to report.
The bike walk committee did meet on July 1. I was unable to attend. They are talking about a rodeo. I'm not sure where that stands. We're trying to make it happen, and I don't know, it's a better thing to probably happen when the kids are in school.
When kids are here.
So you can
Yeah.
do it, but there's a lot of good work being done by a bunch of the volunteers, as you all know. So,
Julia, I'm in trouble on August 2nd, for our August 2nd meeting.
Can I amend my
I'm sorry.
comments about
Yeah,
nothing
please,
to report?
please,
I just
please.
want to report that our planning board met last Tuesday, and the very gracious lady to my right spent almost the entire meeting, I mean, we invited her to spend almost the entire meeting talking to us about Dartmouth's
Yeah,
new plans.
Plan.
And the planning board was absolutely attentive, and it went very well, and Joanna was brilliant, and the whiteboard worked, and it was well
it was
received.
good technology, really good
Yes,
technology.
good technology, and she answered
All the
everybody's
questions.
Yes.
Yay.
And there's a stack of hard copies. I think they may be downstairs. I brought
Correct.
a bunch. And
Right.
we can get more. If
They're on the front
committee
table
members.
in
It's a
the,
little more public. There is a copy at the library for loaning.
Yep.
But it didn't seem like the right place to be handing it out.
right.
But the planning office said it would be fine to do it here, so there's,
Where are the ones here?
Downstairs as you come in the front service area, there's a table that's sort of perpendicular to the counter, and they're right there.
Is that the one?
No, I don't have it with me.
Okay.
No.
We'll grab some for you when we're downstairs.
Okay, thank you for,
I meant to
Adding
tell
oh,
you.
and I mean, the other interesting part, because I get to see the very beginning of the meeting, was the town is in negotiations with the consulting firm VHB to kick off what we're calling the sustainability plan, which is the master plan for the town that hasn't been updated since 2003. So it's pretty exciting.
It is,
I was like,
Let's go.
fired up for that night. All
right,
that good planning.
right. Lots of planning
Both-
happening.
Yeah, both plans happening the same
I
day.
was like,
And
Yeah.
on your
it's like,
meeting
it was
of
a wild night.
At your
Yes,
next
everywhere.
meeting on the 26th, Carolyn Radish, if that date works, Carolyn Radish will be here to give with Rob Hausman an update presentation on the second piece of the bicycle and pedestrian improvements on College Street, around the green. And so we're continuing to work on that project as well.
Yeah, I should alert people, in fact, if they hear the phrase sustainability plan rather than new 10-year plan.
Right.
That's what it is. Sustainability is just a very broad term for what we're doing long-term.
So, Peter, you were saying
I'm in
August
trouble on
2nd.
August 2, on August 2.
Okay.
We have
And,
two
you know,
meetings scheduled that month.
typically, we try and do one meeting in July and one meeting in August, but our organizational meeting for the next select board is 2 weeks from tonight,
Right.
the 26th. I will actually, I hope to be out of town that night finally getting out of town.
Good.
But Rob will be here with Carolyn Radish, and Betsy McLean and Corey will be here as well to make presentations. So I think I've got you good staff coverage for that evening, and that
Okay.
you can probably operate without me sitting in the chair. But if the second doesn't work, Peter, we could look to cancel that meeting and just hold our
Why don't you take a
second
look at
meeting.
what the agenda might be and see if we can
Yeah.
go to one
Cancel it,
meeting.
okay.
Yep.
In which case, we would be talking about August 23rd August 16th as our only meeting in August. Does that date sound like it works for everybody?
That would still works for me.
Joanna? Maybe not?
Maybe not, but I can, it's okay, don't.
Well, but we could also look to do do it on the 23rd of August. So have only one meeting in August, and it would be on
Where's the
August
schedule now?
23rd. The 2nd and the 16th
16 now?
are the scheduled two meeting night reserve nights now.
I'm sure I can, I don't know what 23rd holds, but I could probably make that happen, enough leeway.
What about you, Ethel?
Yeah, I'm good for the 23rd, the 16th might be trouble.
Yeah.
I can't tell at this point.
That's kind of where I'm at.
23rd is better for me.
23rd is
Okay,
better
so
for me.
August 23rd.
23rd?
Yeah.
Only meeting in August. We'll make it work, guys.
Thank you,
Okay?
everybody.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Julia, you got that? August 23rd.
Okay, so, do we have a non-public tonight?
We do, briefly.
So, any other, here, no other business. So there has been a request for a non-public session to discuss items pursuant to 91 RSA 91A 32A, C, and E.
This Rossi is yes.
Peter Christie, yes.
Nancy Carter, yes.
Joanna Whitcomb, yes.
We are in non-public session. Thank you.